Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here at Lonely Golem Games. Today we're going to be talking about Even Finer Dining. It's our first game we made together. And when I say we, I mean Frenchiam.
Hello.
Thanks for spending some time here with me. We're going to go over everything we kind of did back in 2024 for the Game Maker's Toolkit. With that side of things, I know it's been a little bit of time. Was there? I kind of want to talk before we go straight into things on kind of where we were beforehand. So before we, put together a game together, Even Finer Dining, I had been making games for a few years. So I had been trying to essentially, I was trying to get paid for the work I was doing. So I was on Fiverr a lot, doing a lot of odds and ends for Godot. There's a bit of a thriving community looking for people that know how to use Godot. And, I was looking for finding someone who could help me get to the next level, because I know art and design was always a weak point in mine. And that's kind of where I found myself coming into this project. What about yourself?
Right. Yeah, so on my end, I had no experience with actually making games. I had illustration experience, design experience. I've always toyed with the idea of making games, but I think I'm on the flip side on your end where my limitations was more on programming and coding. So when you invited me to do the GMTK, I jumped on that opportunity because what better way to learn to start making games and actually getting in starting a game jam where the challenge is just not to make something really big, it's to challenge yourself to just make something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where our collaboration really started. So I was confident more with the UI and illustration and making assets, and I can provide that to you, uh, and you could program as we ideated on the theme and the ideas.
Yeah, so then let's talk about the ideation. So I'll throw in some screenshots or live footage of the actual game itself at the end product. But let's talk about what we were looking at beforehand. And I've got some notes here. And I'm
Mm.
wondering if you remember any of these. The tractor pull, we had, or I
Yeah,
guess I should start with the objectives or the goal was scale. So
scale. Yeah, I remember that.
yes, it was scale. So we had tractor pull, we had building things that would have been bloated, a puzzle game that I'm still like, I think that puzzle game could still work somewhere else. And then
Which puzzle game were we talking about?
the ball of yarn.
Right. Okay. Okay. I
So
remember that now.
every time you move, the yarn would become more unraveled, giving you
Right.
a
Less
smaller
to work
a
with.
smaller object
Yeah.
to work with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Almost, I guess, like the
Yeah. We
inverse
had
of
a lot.
Snake.
Kind of. Yeah. Like you
Yeah.
started with a set size of the
Yeah.
yarn, so it limits your movements and options based on the
Mm-hmm.
obstacles. Yeah. We remember.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything that you took away? Like, do you still remember, or any of the ideations that we you were thinking of?
I think what's interesting with our ideations for even finer dining was how we came to this final idea wasn't even because of our initial brainstorming. It was
Mm-hmm.
post brainstorming when we had other ideas. This was even a joke idea that came up that we both eventually. Oh wait, that's an interesting thing
Yes.
to try and build on. Yeah.
Yeah. So people who might not understand the joke right away, even finer dining is a joke against like the French dining and fine dining, where you get.
Mm.
It seems like it's a race to serve the smallest portion food, but the most advanced and complex way.
Yeah.
And so the core concept of our idea was to just put things onto the center of the plate that is getting smaller and smaller in scale.
So basically, the higher the level, the fancier the
Yeah.
dish, but the smaller it is.
Yeah. So I'll just start us off then on the Friday. So this was over the course of a weekend. On Friday, and once again, I will throw some pictures up on the screen there or little gifs there as we went along. But when we decided on doing the finer dining, we knew that we needed a hand to control. That hand needed to pick up food, and that food needs to go on a plate, and that food should eventually be stacked on top of each other, and that to do the scale side, everything had to get smaller as you progressed. Just to build I really do love it, and part of me, like, I think the art looks so good and everything like that.
Oh, thank you.
But part of me does wish that I still had the wonky real world. Those are my hands, real hands,
Right.
going
Right.
around grabbing things.
Yeah.
But with that, I took a photo of my hand, photoshopped around it, and just started prototyping. But you were
Yeah,
very
there-
quick. You were
there's a
very
charm
quick
of it.
on providing assets like right away. I don't know if
Yeah.
that was part of it was like you're like, oh no, I this is I see what Connor's doing. Oh no.
No, honestly, I also like the charm of having the photo,
Mhm.
like the real life photo as the asset. But I think it was also part of me being like, oh, the only thing I'm providing in this collaboration is are the illustrations and the UI.
Fair
So
enough.
I wanted to make sure that I was on top of that as much as possible. So when you provided the demo of the picture, it's like, okay, so I can work with this, and
Yeah.
I did I think the image you'll be showing is the hand and the two pieces of bread, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the first few that I worked with. I forget, did we make everything the same what do you call it? The same dimensions. So the hand, the food, were they all the same, or did it depend on?
It depended on the asset, but like the asset itself was the same dimensions, so that I wouldn't have
Right.
to do any scaling or anything like that. I'd just drop the asset
Right,
in
okay.
and say, "Hey, you are now this."
Right.
I think maybe we did do some scaling just to make it easier for the area 2D circles. I'll also throw in a link in the description there for if you want to read the article. I go into a bit more details on how I'm using Godot to handle it, like with area 2D circles and rigid bodies. But yeah, we tried to keep it fairly similar so that it was easy enough to handle.
I remember in
so
my files, at the very least, all of the food were in one. I was using Procreate for this one, so it was all in one Procreate file. I didn't change any of the dimensions, so
Gotcha.
even if the food was getting smaller in the assets, it was all in the same frame in my file. Yeah.
Okay, we were working away, and I knew immediately it had to be. I've never played this game, but I'm going to refer to it the Surgeon Simulator.
Mm-hmm.
I think I should play that game sometime, but I
Maybe.
knew for sure I needed to make sure that it was clunky and awkward to move these hands.
Right. Yeah.
And the first iterations it was challenging to move the hands. So we definitely tweaked it a bit more so it was a little more like on ice with some shakes versus like you are just I don't know, gritting through trying to move this hand around.
Right.
But we had that going on, and then I'll show the screen. That's when I saw it like, oh no, this is really coming together. This was just I think you would have put this together then in Procreate, but
Yeah.
like that's when it was like, oh wow, this looks great. Like
It's like what it could look like, right?
this would be as much as I could do on my own. Like I'd just be like,
Yeah.
this looks kind of close enough, but then like this is Saturday.
Right.
So that was
How
great.
many days did we have? 4? 3.
It was 4 days. So we finished
4
up
days,
on
right.
Monday, I believe.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So we were stacking things together. I built out the stacking, and I don't think we had talked about this, but like I was secretly coding the hands to be modular so I could have more than one hand on screen. I don't know if
Yes.
that was a surprise to you when I was like, yeah, I put a second hand in.
I think you told me as I opened the version with the second hand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, something like that. So
Yeah.
I was fully expecting. I was able to test, I think, the version with one hand for a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you updated it with the second hand, that's when you told me, oh, there's a surprise for this version.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So yeah, that's how it. Yeah, that's how I found
Yeah.
out. But yeah,
Yeah. How did you feel about the second hand inclusion? Because I know that was like one of those like afterwards I was like, I probably should have told her like I was really wanting to do a second hand instead of just
no,
like
no, no.
this is what we're doing now.
I think it was one of those because while we were talking about it as we were building it up, the conversation about it being like Surgeon Simulator was there, and it did have two hands, so it wasn't that big of a.
Gotcha.
It wasn't something I wasn't going to be against because yeah, Surgeon Simulator had two. I think the challenge with having the two hands was that, and I think we got that from our playtesters as well. There was a point where you could just shove one of the hands to the side
Yes.
and work with the one hand. But in general, having the two hands was, I think it added an extra layer
Mm-hmm.
to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely. If I think even on our latest, like the last version that we did release for, you could get the highest scores by just ignoring one hand, put that
Yeah.
off to the side, and then you
Yeah.
know try to go as fast as possible with one.
Yeah. But I think that's also why it helped that you always had both of the hands drifting. So even if you
Mhm.
did shove one hand to the side, you'd still have to manage it by
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
moving it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically in control of which challenges you wanted to deal with.
Mm-hmm. And one of our playtesters was like, "Hey, when one hand bumps into the other, you should drop it, drop the food."
Right.
And I really
Yeah.
liked that. It made it
Yeah.
just a bit more challenging for
Yeah,
something
so
that
you
was
can
already
just grab the food, shove the hand, and drop it to the
Yeah. Yeah.
center. You really had to be purposeful about how you're placing everything.
Yeah. With that though too, I'll have to say, this was one of those games where I think we got very adept at playing it, and so did our
yeah.
few playtesters. So when we got feedback from users being like, "This is just way too hard,"
Right,
Um,
right.
it was a bit of a surprise test because we had dropped the point requirements. We had made the floating hands a lot easier to control.
Yeah. For us, it
and
was already the easier version based
It was
on
already the
compared to the
easiest version
initial.
we've ever made,
Yeah.
and just to be like, yeah, man, like this is, it's not unplayable, but like this is hard.
It's hard, yeah.
Yeah. And then you made the start menu there too, the even finer dining. And
I did, yeah.
Yes. And then I kind of came back and said, hey, that's really cool, but I would like to put the controls in. And then I gave you a demo of like the hands moving in the start menu because
Yeah.
I think it's really powerful. If anyone's trying to do a game jam game or anything like that, to put the instructions
On
not
the
in an
menu.
instructions page, but like at the start menu.
Right, agreed.
And if you can avoid doing a whole wall of text, like here you can see, I'll have on the screen here, all the controls are there. You can play around with it at your leisure, and then you can hit play game.
Yeah, and we went back and forth. Well, not back and forth, but when you came back to me with that suggestion, that made so
Mhm.
much sense to me. And I was like, yeah, I like that idea because something as well on my end is that I like it when games let you intuitively learn the
Mhm.
mechanics, whether it be a dedicated stage or tutorial, but at the same time I don't want the tutorial to be for lack of a better term, holding your hand throughout
Yeah.
everything. So at
Yeah.
least this one, you can play around with the mechanics on the menu, and then once
Mhm.
you're in the game, you have a familiarity with the mechanics. And honestly, that the title screen I made didn't go to waste because we eventually just used that as the what do you call it?
The
The thumbnail for Itch.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to build on to what you're saying there too is I think we both, after doing a few game jams and stuff too, like coming into this, we had the idea too, like, hey, people are only going to play this maybe 1 or 2 minutes, so we have to kind of make sure we're maximizing the amount of time that we have with the player.
Yeah.
And I think this is such a great way to do it because as soon as you hit start game, that's kind of when the player is like, okay, I'm putting time down for this. If you give them stuff before they even hit play game,
Yeah.
I think you can squeeze out an extra like 10, 15 seconds of their attention.
Yeah. Because at least that they load the game, something's already happening.
Yeah.
Like they can't just
Exactly.
have it play in the background and then forget that they actually loaded the game. Because
But I'll tell you,
I'm
if you-
guilty of that. Yeah, opening different game jams to see which one catches my attention.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like you might have only 24, 48 hours to build your game. And I know a lot of the times you're just going to be like, here's a wall of text. Because like
Yeah.
I don't have time to code a tutorial. And a
Yeah.
tutorial can take so much time. If you can get away with like just a quick little explanation by letting the player do something
Yeah.
in its own separate scene so you don't have to code like everything together, it's probably worth your time to do it that way.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, even on the player's end, having a dedicated tutorial stage takes time from them as well,
Mhm.
potentially without having results. So at least with I like the way how we did it. I like the way we did it, because since the tutorial is in the menu, once they start playing the game, they already get the results and can start ranking up their scores
Exactly.
without having to go through a separate. Here's the basics of the game. You've already skipped that because they've been playing around with it on the menu.
Well, then let's talk about scores because you mentioned about racking up scores. This was the first time I implemented a scoring system. Sorry, when I say scoring system, I mean like high scores going to a server to submit. That was pretty intense because we only had a few hours to kind of really spend on it. I think it worked really well for what it was.
I think it was Silent Wolf, was it? Something like that.
Okay, yeah, it was Silent Wolf. So Silent Wolf made a great plugin to be used. As of the time of this recording, it's totally free. You can implement it in your game fairly easily. I did have to play around with some of the classes, but I think that was also because we generally work with the most recent version of Godot,
Yeah.
where that might be something we need to take a hard look at and see if we really need to be at the cutting edge,
Right.
because it ends up being like I'm messing around with people's plugins for classes to kind of resolve issues
True.
or conflicts.
Like having to change, right?
Having to change their core code so that it works in the new version of Godot. So I'm doing the migration processes, but no, it was pretty good. It's pretty bare bones. So there's no name filtering. So if people were to use it or abuse it and throw in negative terms or anything like that, right? Like it would stop it. So it would be up to your program application for blocking those.
Yeah.
But
I think for this one, now that you mention it, we updated to the latest version of Godot before we started. But we did
Yes.
that because when I downloaded Godot, that was the version that I got. So going back to what I said before, where I always ideated with the idea of making games. So when I first I think the version that I had was a really old one, so it might have been one of the 3 point something. So back
Okay.
then when I first opened it, it was very overwhelming for me, especially coming from a background of very, very minimal coding. So when we started the game jam, I figured, okay, this one's outdated, I might as well update it to the latest version. So that in turn kind of forced you to update
Yeah.
your version as well. Yeah.
Yeah, my general rule of thumb is try to find the most stable version of the product that you're working on.
Right.
And then what usually happens is after a month or two, I'm like, oh, but I could use more features. I need a hit of new features. Where can I get
Right,
where can I
right.
get that stuff? And then it's like, oh well, time to update weekly to the latest version, and that's usually uh, where things start to fall apart on me. But I do it every time.
Right, right. I don't think we update, at least I don't think we did any updates while we were making the game, right? We just we just stuck to one version.
No, that would have.
Yeah.
I think that would have killed me. If
Yeah.
memory serves. I think we
Plus
were
it was a
at
4-day jam.
3.5.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. So 4 hadn't been released yet, but we were in 3.5, and it was. I think it was just after a pretty big bump in some features.
I think so.
So yeah, we powered through. We created 4 levels in total. Now I wanted to touch base with you on 4 levels because
Mm-hmm.
there might be a pattern forming, and it might
Right.
be the feature creep is coming from inside the house, because this was also one of those like, oh well, the plates are stationary. What if the plate
Mhm.
moved? We really need a level
Right.
with a plate moving.
Right, right.
How it was very basic. It was like, oh geez, we've got, I don't know, an hour or two left,
Mhm.
and I was just like, I think I can do this. This
Right.
will also be if you watch the other episodes, when we talk about this, you will see that this comes up a few times where it's down to the wire, and it's
Mhm.
because I'm trying to throw in a feature that I think is like, this is going to be critical for the game.
Right.
I don't think anyone got to that bonus level. What were your thoughts on the moving
No.
plate?
Honestly, like you said, it's one of those things that it's fun to add, especially since we both started talking about it once the base version of the game
Mm-hmm.
was done. And I think it comes back to we're both, and our playtesters are so used to playing the game that we like the idea of having the extra challenge.
Yes.
So having it there was a combination of, okay, we got so used to the game that we need something, or we wanted something more to add, and at the same time we didn't realize how challenging it was until people outside our general team
Mm-hmm.
started playing it. But all in all, even now, even as you say, not a lot of people got to the bonus level. I think it's still nice to have it there.
Yeah. I think it
Yeah.
also helps for just our post trailers, demo reels, whatever you want to
Right.
do. It's something a little visually different. And
Yeah.
you know what? Sometimes when you're making these game jams, you're kind of trying to just build out your catalog of things you can do. And that's okay
Exactly.
sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Also have it on the record that I don't force Connor to add these extra levels.
No, this is
I
on me.
always make sure I always make sure with Connor, it's like, are we sure we can do
Yeah.
that? Because I know we have like just like 2 hours left.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
think-
it's a non-essential, so
I think our latest one, which we'll talk about later,
mm.
that was also like, I think I remember texting. I think you did ask like, "Is this possible?" And then I
Yeah.
think I said, "I've got 2 hours.
Yeah.
I've coded it so that it's modular.
Right.
We should be able to do it."
Yeah, when Connor replied with 2 hours, my initial reaction was, okay, so he's saying most likely not, and I accepted, because
Yeah.
that's how can we do this in the time limit? But then
Yeah.
he went radio silent, and then eventually, okay, I got it uploaded,
Yeah, and then thankfully the servers went down.
so he got an extra R.
And I
We're
got
getting
it-
ahead
I
of
got it
ourselves, but
submitted,
it's
too.
happened. Yeah.
I just remember, yeah. So with this one too, adrenaline running high, trying to get this submitted within the hour. Um, and it was during a lunch break too, because I was working on the Monday there, or no, sorry, Tuesday was it was submitted. Was
Did
it?
it start on?
So even finer dining, we were working away on Monday. I remember adding a bunch of
Right.
like random drops for the menu so that not everybody was uniform placed and everything like that. Just some basic UI updates and stuff like that. And then Tuesday we got some feedback.
Right. Okay. Our timeline was Friday afternoon to Tuesday early morning. Right? Yeah, okay.
So then on Tuesday, we got lots of feedback from like, hey, it'd be great if you could pause the game. It would be great if you could just retry it from a button there or exit from the game, because you can't really exit the game. You can just ring the bell to order up and then exit.
Right.
And then also I still had this idea of like, I really needed level 4. I needed the plate to move. So I just remember like waking up stupid early, trying to get this done, and just getting it under the wire, because it was due
Right.
like Tuesday at lunch, a little after lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you tidied up the store page, too.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Usually
How-
those last couple of hours is if when Connor is doing the fine tuning for the programming, I'm doing the store page or the game page. So that's thumbnail, screenshots, descriptions, credits.
Mm-hmm. So any thoughts on like making the store pages on Itch?
Making the store pages on Itch is fairly straightforward on my end, because that's screenshots. Since I do have the Godot version of the game, I can just go to whichever level and make kind of like stage a screenshot where the gameplay is active and things like that. So it's easier to go through screenshots for that. I think the challenge, especially if I didn't take note of it at the start, is making sure that I have all of the credits. Luckily, I do have the habit of, when I download files such as sound effects or fonts and things like that, I at least name the file where I can search the link, because I do want to make sure that in the store page, if we use assets that aren't made by us, so just for reference, Connor also does some of the sound effects, and I do I mentioned before, I do the illustration and the UI, but we still do use third-party sounds and assets on occasion. So I make sure I'm able to put all of the links accordingly for the store page. But honestly, that's the most challenging one, and that's the habit I was able to start building for this, because we do continue on to make more games, and I make sure that as I download, I always keep track of what I've downloaded, and then which ones we eventually use.
Yeah, so if anyone watching this is like, I'm gonna make a game jam, or I've been doing game jams for a while, and looking for any tips, I think that's the biggest one, is that when you download an asset, make a text file to go along with it, just beside it, and just be like, this is the URL, this is the like, if you can get those copyright credentials really easy, keep it with that file, because there's numerous times where I've downloaded something, I'm using it, and then when it comes time to like accredit them, well, I can't find 120755
Right.
.wave. Like, where does that belong?
Yeah. For me, it comes down to renaming the file itself. So have the author, the sound designer's name, like how they present themselves online. So whatever their user handle is,
Gotcha.
or if the name that they use on their page, have their name on the file as well, and the name of the file.
Also,
I found that that's helped a lot.
Also, I find too, especially for game jams, you are strapped for time. Don't be afraid to just get in front of a mic and make the sound effects
Yeah.
you need. If
Yeah.
you need to make stepping noises, make the stepping noises with your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Go whoosh, 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 whoosh. I don't know if that's gonna catch, but like whatever you need, just ah. Anyways, I
Just
find
record.
there's
Yeah.
so much charm in games like that, and
Yeah.
almost every game, actually no, every game I've made, there's some sound effect where I'm just saying the thing. Um,
Yeah.
a lot of my button clicks are just me going click, click,
Click.
or like
Yeah.
I might tweak it a bit so it sounds a little non-human like,
Mm-hmm.
but it is just a lot of me talking to a mic.
Grab, plop, grab, plop, grab, plop, grab, plop, grab, plop. Clap, 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 grab, plop, clap. Kick, 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 click.
Right. I think the ones where I added third-party sound effects was when we, for Even Fighter Dining, was when we
Mhm.
added the restaurant ambiance.
Yes.
So yeah, but otherwise a lot of the sound effects are like Connor
Yeah.
said, him
It
saying
is-
swoosh, click,
Yeah.
drop.
It's literally me saying grab when I grab
Yeah.
things.
Right, right.
Why program 3 different sound effects for like picking up broccoli, chicken, and bread when I could just
Mhm.
say grab and
Yeah.
be done with it, but still have that audio? Because too many game jam games have just silence,
Mm-hmm.
and it's surprising how little you want to play a game when it's just silence.
Yeah. It adds to the feedback for sure.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So, any thoughts on the whole process or anything like that? Otherwise, I'd like to look at some of the feedback we've received and like our thoughts after the fact.
I think for me, it was definitely a learning process because, like I mentioned, when you invited me to this was definitely going to be the first game like I've ever made or contributed to. Like at the most, before this, I did contribute to an educational game, but that was something for more internal use, and what I contributed was really more illustrations and things like that. This
Gotcha.
was really the first time I've been this involved in making games. So yeah, on my end, really a big learning process and something I took as we continued collaborating on future games.
I think you even dove in to understand the HBox, VBox containers
Yeah.
in this too.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, for me,
listen-
we can revisit this after we go through feedback. But for me,
yeah.
what was valuable as someone from zero game programming was being able to go through the GD script files,
Oh yes.
because I already knew how the game worked. Like I knew how it played, I
Mhm.
knew the mechanics. So being able to look through the script and see, okay, so this is how the hands are working. This is how the menu is working. And more importantly for me, this is how the UI is interacting, like how it goes from the menu to the different screens. Because I've told Connor this in our own retrospectives in our previous games, was that as we continued making games, I did more of the UI scripting and programming. Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt really bad for you when you were saying that. I was like, oh no. Like, this is a game jam game. My code is like, I will use descriptive terms, but I will not do too much in commenting unless like I am trying to do some like really heavy math and just being like, this is the 27th time I've tried to figure this out.
Right.
This is the old code. This is what I want to do. So props on you for learning that way, because that's not an easy way.
Yeah. I think for me that it worked because, again, it's a smaller game and the mechanics were simple. Project. So yeah. So even if, because you did say you did warn me when I was telling you. I was telling you when I was doing that.
Yes.
And then you did warn me about, oh, the code isn't the best that it could be.
No.
But I mean, like,
Yeah.
again,
But
with the simpler
also try
mechanics,
to-
I could at least figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. I also try to code modularly too. So that's something
Yeah.
that I've done because of Fiverr and everything like that. Because I
Right.
want to make sure that I can reuse code in other projects.
Right.
So that's always something I'm also very open with, because for some reason a lot of times clients will be like, "Oh no, I want this all. This is all proprietary to me." It's like that's
Right.
not, at least in Canada, that's not really how code works.
Yeah.
um, but you know, I am just very open about it. So getting into that habit is very helpful, because that's how I could
Right.
build a plate that moved, a second hand, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I think for me, that's how I've also started approaching my own coding and programming with Godot, at least with the UI. So it gets to a point, especially I've found the usefulness of modular code is that you can get into a routine with it. So it doesn't, you don't have to overthink when it's something you've done before. And it's even if it's not copy paste, you have a familiarity of which functions and signals to use.
yeah, and you just pair it up.
Yeah, exactly.
So, final thoughts on the whole process. I know that the point requirement was too high, and I felt really bad because I do believe we allowed for negative scoring, and seeing a few people like getting just negative scores, and like that's it. Like they did it once, and
Yeah.
that was it. I think going forwards in a level kind of thing where you would want a certain score is to just let that happen. You did the
Yeah.
level, you got to the end, that's your score. Don't hide it
Right.
behind a point wall
Yeah.
to artificially inflate it.
Yeah.
I know too, at least I was watching the reviews. Sorry, his name is Mark, right, for GMTK?
Yes. Let me quickly fact check that, but I'm pretty sure it's Mark.
Yeah. So I was watching Mark do a live stream, and he got way, like, this was 2024. He's gotten way more considerate with his feedback, and I think that's because he's made his own game and he's received a lot of feedback. But it
Right.
was brutal with some of his live stream feedback on the games.
Right. Yeah.
And it was just something to kind of keep in mind too, right? Where I don't know many game jams where people are playing that didn't also get partake in it.
True.
So
Or
I don't
at
know
the very
how.
least, like us, the
Yeah.
people you ask to play test. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think everyone's going to be kind of kind and considerate
Yeah.
in feedback generally, or they're not going to give you very helpful feedback because they're going to be like, oh, this was great. It was just so lovely. It was a great time. So you always have to kind of parse through that.
Yeah.
But because we built in systems that talk to a server, we could also see kind of what people's experience was. It wasn't like we had coded in AWS servers to like give us feedback on actual player metrics, but with having that high score system, we could kind of see where people were dropping off, and I don't think
Yeah.
anyone than our playtesters got past the first level.
Yeah.
And like the
I think
first
some
level,
of the people who, I think the
Sorry.
first two levels were the ones that the most people
yeah,
played. I'm not sure if they got to the third and bonus. Some did.
the bonus was
but,
never touched.
yeah.
I can tell you
Bonus
that
was never touched. Okay.
as someone who also had to replay this game to get footage for it from start
Right,
to
right.
finish.
Mm-hmm.
Level 3 is pretty. You have to get good, and I did
Right.
not retain my skills
Yeah.
So-
from the days of playing
from
it
the
and
days of making
testing.
it. So
yeah.
But it was also one of those, like, level 4 is supposed to be like a secret. Like, can you get there? Like,
Right.
it's kind of a reward.
Right.
I wouldn't put skill-based rewards in your game jam. It's just never going to be seen, generally speaking,
Right.
unless you made a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
I did like how we communicated game mechanics, like we've talked about before.
Right.
And I would have liked to polish this game up a bit further, but I think this was really good because it's polished enough that it looks good. So
Yeah.
it goes well in a trailer. It goes well in like, hey, this is something I made. It's
Mm-hmm.
concise. I think this was really good as like a portfolio piece.
Yeah. I think so too. Because I think we were able to create a concept of even finer dining where it's a straightforward and simple concept that we could play around a lot with the stages, the mechanics, and the art.
Mhm.
So we were able to
Mhm.
really stylize it as well.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's at least what we've seen with GMTK. The
Mhm.
more stylized the art,
Mm-hmm.
I think like if you can make it eye-catching, that's going to do really well to propel your numbers.
True. Yeah. I think for me, like you mentioned, um, having stylized art really helps. And I think on my end, since my specialty tends to be really more with 2D illustrations,
Mm-hmm.
it lets me really have fun with, okay, how can I make art for the theme of the game that'll really
Mm-hmm.
capture the attention of the other game jammers? Because again, GMTK is not a small game jam. So I think the fact that we were able to get a decent amount of feedback, uh,
Mm-hmm.
we did something right with the store page and the thumbnails and such.
Yeah. So on that front, I would say never when you're doing these game jams, it's really you want to be top. Like,
Mm,
no jokes about it. You want to be the highest of the high, right?
yeah,
But that will lead you to madness.
yeah.
Um, that said, we did really well. This is the first game jam we did. So out of the total 7,642 submissions, we got to be about the 27th percentile. So not only were we here, maybe I'll just pull up the raw scores here. So
Right.
for style, we were actually under 2,000. That was our highest
Mm-hmm.
score. That put us to 3.4, but our creativity was at 2,200. Enjoyment was 2,400. We got, everything 3 and up over the score. So we
Mm-hmm.
ranked pretty well on this one. I think the style and the look really helped. I think
Mm-hmm.
also the name, even finer dining, like I'm really glad with that we found that name.
Yeah.
Half of that's a challenge. And I don't know if
True. Yeah.
ChatGPT is going to be able to help you with that necessarily,
Yeah.
but it's really good.
We went back and forth with the title as well. I
Oh yeah,
forgot what we started with. Yeah, but yeah, we both liked the even finer dining.
yeah, yeah. So I will say we only got 19 people to play our game, and when I say only,
Hmm.
19 is a large number to get into a
Yeah.
game jam with GMTK. We did not get any feature play from him himself.
Mm.
I don't think any streamers really streamed us either. I didn't
If
submit us into
anyone
any of those.
did, yeah, if anyone did, I didn't notice.
Yeah. So we got 19 ratings. That was the highest amount of people have played one of our Game Jam games to date of this
Mm-hmm.
recording. Um, and yeah, I think it was just a strong front page and a strong style
Yeah.
that really helped. With that, thank you everyone for joining us here at Lonely Golem Games as we do a postmortem on even finer dining. With that, I have Frenchium here with me, and yeah, anything before we go?
On my end, I think we're good. Well, the standard social media stuff, like follow, subscribe. We
Yeah.
should have a lot of our social media in the description.
Yes, you can follow us at Lonely Golem Games on the itch.io page. We will hopefully have a Steam page soon. If
Mm.
if we have it up, it will be there down below. You can wish list what we're working on next. And yeah, thanks for attending. I will just say as we kind of go out, I just want to say to everyone, just try making it. Start somewhere. Don't
Yeah.
spend your time towards building the best and ultimate game. I don't want to be a tech bro and tell you to just, fail fast. But
Mhm.
yeah, make small games. Join a
Yeah.
small game jam where, you know what, if you don't get a product at the end, that's okay,
Yeah.
right? No one's going to hold you to the small game jam of like 10, 20 people and be like, "Oh,
Mhm.
you didn't submit? That's too bad. You're not welcome here anymore." No, that's
Yeah.
not how this works. Just try
Yeah.
making something.
Yeah, just try to get to a point where you start. Because
Mhm.
again, for me, my own personal mental block was that I convinced myself that I couldn't code, but sure enough, like
Mhm.
as I collaborated with Connor, and you'll see in our future videos, I have been able to program and code at the very least the UI and some of the mechanics as well. But yeah, the challenge really is starting because you won't
Yeah.
really.
I'm looking forward to not being the only coder.
Yeah, yeah. I'm at least able to take some of the UI away from Connor
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, so with that, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you later. All
See
right,
you
bye.
later. Bye bye.